Today, at the beginning of patch 10.1, we're gonna have a quick and easy rapid-fire guide on what you should do with your gear, with your quests, with your crafting system, etc, to get yourself to a pretty high item level in the first 3 weeks of the season. The goal should be to reach roughly 445 item level by week 3 of the season. Basically, by the end of May, you're looking at aiming for 445 item level on your character, and this is, for the record, not even counting you raiding. This is not even counting you being lucky at all in raiding, doing Mythic raiding, none of that. This is mostly gonna be just about doing Mythic Plus, doing open world stuff, doing crafting, as well as Great Vault rewards, etc. So this week is the week 0, is the pre-season week. Nothing really much is open of season 2. You only have a couple of things to keep an eye out on. Number 1 is of course the flight stones, the common reagent you will need for crafting. They cap at 2000. You will get them naturally just by doing dailies and world quests and weekly quests in the Zaralek caverns. If you really want to min-max this, then you should leave all of the one-time turn-in rewards of fly stones, like for example treasures or for example quests. You can leave them unopened. So you can cap yourself up to 2000 by just, for example, killing rares, and then once you start spending them, you can go and turn in those one-time rewards to get a quick and easy bump on flight stones. But you know, it's very minor. It's not really that required to min-max the flight stone gains. The other important thing you get in this week, although you can't do much with it right now, is your first enchanted Shadowflame crest. This enchanted crest needs 2 splintered sparks of Shadowflame. You get one from the introductory questline as a one-time thing, and then you get your weekly one. Similar to the typical weekly quests you get every week that you complete by doing activities, this one will reward you with your second splinter that you can then form into the fully completed item, which is the equivalent of your spark of ingenuity you got in season 1. However, since you don't have the high item level crests you want to craft this thing, to use this thing to craft, you can just keep it. You will just keep it and wait for week 1 to open, for the season to begin. So this is basically all there is to do in this first off-season, pre-season week. Just cap your flystones and get your fully completed crest and wait for the beginning of the season. As the season begins, this is where you get to start to grind quite a bit, because of course you need 10 worm crests. Those are the heroic crests, the ones you get from heroic raiding and mythic 11 through 15 keys, and then you get to also farm 10 aspect crests. These are the ones that come from mythic raid and from mythic 16 plus keys. Pretty much, if you are a character above 415 or so item level, those are the only 2 crests you will need. You can basically completely ignore Whelpling crests and also mostly completely ignore Drake crests. The only crests you need are these 2, the worm and the aspect. You will of course get a discount if you also do heroic raiding, because if you do the full heroic raid on week 1, you will not need to complete 13 mythic plus 15 keys to cap your worm crest. You will only need to complete 4, because heroic bosses also drop worm crests. If you don't do a raid, then I'm afraid you have to go down to a plus 15 keys and grind about a dozen of them to be able to get all of your maximum amount of crests every week, which is 10 total every week. What you can do on week 1 is of course craft your item with your enchanted Shadowflame crest you got on week 0. This will give you a 447 piece of gear. You can look at which are your best in slot pieces of gear. It could be the lariat, even if it's been nerfed. It could be a ring, it could be an alchemy trinket, or maybe more likely a one-handed weapon. That's what will give you the biggest boost in power as early as possible. What you can do in week 1 and also what you will be able to do in week 2 is upgrade 5 items. Why? That's because if you loot items from Mythic plus 19 and higher keys, the reward is going to be at 431 item level. And this is the cost of upgrading these items. 431 will cost 1 worm crest to bring up to 434, and then it will cost 1 more worm crest to bring from 434 to 437, and lastly, it will cost 1 aspect crest to bring from 437 to 441. If you do your Mythic 19 to 20 grind, you will get 431 pieces, and to bring it from 431 to 441, it will cost in total 2 worm crests and 1 aspect crest. Since you can only get 10 crests per week, 2 worm crests for 1 item, and then 4 and 6 and 8 and 10. This means you can only upgrade 5 items per week from 431 to 441. At the end of week 1, provided you have grinded what you needed to grind and you found enough upgrades from Mythic Plus, you can get 5 items to 441, you can get your crafted piece of gear to 447, and then you can also get your Omni token. If you reach 1800 rating in Rated Arena, 2200 rating in Mythic Plus, or ahead of the curve completed, you will get your Heroic Omni token. This will be able to be turned into a tier piece of your choice. So you can get this on week 1, especially if you raid. It will be a little bit harder for Mythic Plus because of course you're missing the other half of the score of Mythic Plus, since you're missing Tyrannical, or you're missing Fortified in week 1, but that's what you can gun for, that's what you can aim for on week 1. Try to get at least 5 upgrades from Mythic Plus, at least 5 431 item level upgrades from Mythic Plus that you can fully upgrade with your crests. You can of course min-max, you can min-max and upgrade nothing. You can hold all your crests. You can wait for week 2 to begin, you can get your Great Vault from week 2. If you raid, even better, you can wait to go into normal and farm normal. You can then wait to go into heroic and farm heroic, and then only after you have gotten your Great Vault loot, perhaps some normal pieces and perhaps some heroic pieces, then you can start choosing what to upgrade with your crests. If you don't care about that, or if you don't raid, for example, you have much less reason to hold on to your quests and wait before upgrading. You can go ahead and upgrade on week 1. So once week 2 begins, it's another boost of item level, because week 2 will give you the other half spark for your crafting. You got the first half spark on week 1, now you get the other half, which means you can get another 447 crafted piece of gear. You're also getting 1 447 piece of gear from the vault, if you did your, plus 20 keys for the vault reward. And if you didn't get your Omni token from week 1, you will also be getting the Omni token now. So it's going to be a big boost, a big bump in item level with these 3 very easy, very quick and easy item level bumps at the start of week 2. You should have ended, right, if you're looking for the min-max, for the best possible route for your character, you should have ended week 1 roughly at 430 item level. If you were roughly 420 item level by the end of season 1, with the 5 441 item level pieces that you upgraded and the 447 crafted piece, you should have been roughly at 430. In week 2, with, as mentioned, the other crafted piece, the first Great Vault piece of gear, and then the Omni token that you turned into a heroic tier piece, and then 10 more of the aspect and the worm crests grinded that allow you to upgrade even more gear, you should be starting to get close to 440 item level. This is where, of course, you might start to find some copies, some not much needed gear from Mythic Plus, right? Because you start needing less and less gear from Mythic Plus. So week 2, after the first initial bump in item level from all the things you get at the start, it might actually slow down in how fast you can upgrade your gear. You still have a total of 5 max pieces you can upgrade from 431 to 441. You had 10 aspect crests on week 1. You spent 4 for crafting, so you got down to 6, and then you spent 5 for upgrading, so you went down to 1. Then you earned 10 more in week 2. You went up to 11. You spent another 4 for crafting. You went down to 7. So you have 7 aspect crests and you have 10 worm crests because you had 0 since you used them all in week 1, and then you got 10 more in week 2. So with 7 aspect crests and 10 worm crests, you can still upgrade 5 items fully from 431 to 441, and you would be left with just 2 aspect crests left over. You can actually, if you want to, you can downgrade the crests. You can, for example, downgrade the 2 aspect crests you have left over into 2 worm crests. Why? Well, that's because you might have looted items lower than 431 item level. For example, you might have looted them at 421 or 424 item level, which means they won't need aspect crests to be upgraded. You might need some worm crests to upgrade them. So, since the aspect crests are left over and you don't really need them, you can downgrade them to actually still be able to upgrade some of your lower item level pieces. Week 2 of the season will be in the end the busier part of the start of the season, because week one, you know, you mostly get upgrades from anything because your gear is still very low item level. Week 2 is where it starts to get a little bit more grindy. You have to start to actually pick and choose and hope for the right slot, the right piece of gear to drop, for example, from Mythic Plus to be an actual upgrade. And this is still, of course, not assuming you have gotten any piece of gear from the raid. So entering week 3, you should have 2 crafted items at 447 item level. You should have 2 Great Vault items at 447 item level, the second one as week 3 begins. You should also have the Omni token, the heroic Omni token you got for your tier slot, and then 8 to 10 Mythic Plus pieces that you looted at 431 and then you upgraded all the way up to 441. So the situation of your gear would look something like this, right? It starts to be, on week 3, it starts to be quite rare for you to start finding actual upgrades. You would have to start looking at 2 or 3 particular slots to hope that they drop from Mythic Plus, for example. So that's where you will get the slowest part of your gear upgrading by week 3. You will be close to 440 item level, and most of the upgrades will be quite hard to get at this point, in particular from Mythic Plus. As we are mentioning, we are not counting raid loot here. We are not assuming you have been any lucky with raid loot, so that's where it will start to be significantly more slow for you to find upgrades for your gear. Nothing really changes in week 3. You still do the weekly for your half spark reward. You still farm your aspect and your worm crests. You do your plus 20, plus 19 and plus 20s for the item level, for the max item level, the 431 item level. But as I said, at this point it mostly goes up to luck if you get or don't get the item upgrade in the specific few remaining slots you still don't have upgraded. By the end of week 3, it should also roughly be the last time you actually keep needing to grind crests for the foreseeable future. That's because once you upgrade a piece of gear to the max level, upgrading any other item in a slot you already have, an upgraded item, a higher item level item, will cost 0 crests. Completely, fully discounted. Which means if you, for example, have upgraded every piece of gear you have with an aspect crest to max level, you will not need to spend any more crests on your gear for the rest of the season. Even on your alts, because if you don't know, this discount also works on alts. So, if you loot a belt and you upgrade the belt to 441, not a single other belt in the game that you will upgrade on any of your characters will cost crests anymore. It will be free to upgrade. This is great for your alts, and it's also great for your main if, for example, you wanted to change an item because it had better stats, or because it rolled with leech or with a socket. Now the upgrade will be free. So the amount of crests you will need will go down tremendously by the end of week 3. You will only need basically 4 aspect crests every 2 weeks for your 447 crafted piece of gear, and then nothing else. So the big crest grind will only last 3 resets. After the first 3 resets, it will have slowed down tremendously, and you won't need nearly as much to be grinding all of these crests anymore. And also, by the end of week 3, provided you have grinded enough Mythic Plus and you have been lucky to fill the few remaining spots that you didn't have an upgrade yet in those gear slots, you should be past 440 item level and close to 445. Because by week 3, you will have 2 crafted items at 447, 2 Great Vault items at 447, and basically the rest of your gear is at 441. So the average should be 443, 444 item level by the end of week 3. That is what you can expect in the first month, basically, of patch 10.1. This first week of the off-season and then the first 3 weeks of the patch itself. And keep in mind, this entire schedule for your gear upgrading was made without taking into account having too much luck or even doing at all the raid part of your possible loot. So you might be getting to that point even faster, even more quickly if you actually do raid and you do get some rewards from Heroic and then also from Mythic. So this was purely without counting really raid loot and to see what you can expect, what you can aim for as a benchmark for your item level every week. Up until you get to week 3, where things will slow down much more and you will start basically trying to just fish for the few remaining 1 or 2 slots of gear that you haven't been able to find yet. This was what we can expect in the first 3 or so weeks of Season 2 when it comes to picking up gear, when it comes to powering up your character with some beefy item level. So, with this explanation being done, I'm going to leave you to the rest of the beginning, I guess, of Season 1. Thanks, of course, as usual, to all of the viewers, in particular, to all of the patrons for the support. You can also support in other ways, completely for free. You can like and comment down below, as well as subscribe to the channel itself. There are also other free ways, like following me over on Twitter, as well as following me over on my stream on Twitch, which will be go live back quite soon. So, thank you guys again for watching. See you guys soon, and in the meantime, I said quick and easy guide. I said rapid fire guide. Why is this so long?